Hi, everybody. I'm Dan Bickford, host of Carolina Rides. Welcome to the new episode, our once every couple of weeks look at what's going on in the car community across the Western Carolinas and beyond. As always, I want to invite you, if you haven't done so already, to check out our social media pages. Of course, if you're watching this on our YouTube channel right now, you've already found it. Congratulations. And if you're watching this on our WSPA Plus streaming service, feel free to check us out on YouTube at Carolina Rides WSPA. You can also find us on Facebook at Carolina Rides and on Instagram, Carolina Rides Official WSPA. And we'll have news on car shows and links to when we put up new episodes of Carolina Rides. And occasionally I'll throw something else up there, especially if I've been to one of those shows or something like that. And we'll show some extra video. Our guests in studio today, we have got Chris and Chance Coffman with Adventures with Edna. How you guys doing today?
Good. How are you?
All right. And now, for those who are unfamiliar with Adventures with Edna, tell me first off a little bit about what that is.
So, Edna is actually our 1950 Ford F1. We bought Edna almost 6 years ago now, and right when COVID hit, Chance and I got right to work on her. I was at BMW at the time, and they furloughed everybody. And so Chance and I just spent every day working on her, and then we started, just kind of gradually making things better on it and making it better for daily use. And then we got it kind of where it was, and then we started taking a lot of pictures and videos and stuff, obviously. And then eventually we got to where we kept doing stuff in Edna all the time, and now we ended up doing our first video by we actually made a big trip. We went up the Saluda grade on 26, which was kind of scary being in such an old vehicle. And we made it to as far as Biltmore House, and then we kind of took the back roads to get to like Chimney Rock and Lake Lure and all that. And we were videoing it the whole way, and Chance always wanted to be a YouTuber, and so we kind of came up with the name Adventures with Edna. And Edna was actually the name of my grandmother, which is where we got the name for the truck. And then the Edna name really kind of stuck. I've kind of actually named my cars for years. I had Rogue, currently have Venom, and now Edna. But for some reason, the name Edna really stuck with the truck. Like, I had some people that were friends of mine that were like, every time I see that truck going down the road, it's Edna. We don't say like, hey, there's Chris's truck, or whatever. We just say, hey, that's Edna. So it kind of like has stuck and made itself its own character.
Yeah, I once had a Stephanie and a Monty as cars. So there you go. Of course, Monty was a Monte Carlo, so I guess that made a little bit of sense, right?
Yeah.
Well, what got you interested in cars in the first place, or trucks? Was it always a 1950 truck you were after? Was there something else you were interested in? How did this coming about with this truck come up?
So originally, I've always been into old cars in general, and I actually never considered myself a truck guy, and now I've owned two of them. My dad originally got me started with cars because when he had a Model A since before I was born, a 1930 Ford Model A, and I learned how to work on that, and we used to take that out and do stuff. And then, my first car was a 65 Mustang, and then I've always had something older and cool, and, I like to work on it myself. And then I've kind of tried to pass that down to Chance with teaching him how to work on stuff. And then years ago, I had a 69 Ford F100 because I had a friend who had one, and I thought it was kind of cool, and I was going to work one day, and I saw one for sale, and I ended up buying it that day, and I did a lot of work to it in the years I had it. And then it was funny enough that there was a guy I worked with who had a 56 F100, and I always thought it was really cool, and I always kept thinking, man, I'd rather have that. And then, so a few years back, I was like looking for an old truck, and I really wanted to get like something in that era. And then I kind of more started sticking. I kind of liked the early 50s ones and the late 40s ones a little better. And then ended up, my dad and I went out and looked at one. And then it was funny because he said, if you keep looking at these things, you're going to wind up buying one. And it's like, well, it's funny that you said that because I bought one today, actually. And so we kind of went from there. But
So obviously you've passed some of that on to Chance. Now, Chance, have you always been interested in cars? Was that something your dad was like, hey, check this out? Or was it just like you automatically thought all that was cool?
I think I was born with it, to be honest.
What is your favorite kind of car?
There are a lot out there. I really like Edna because, to be honest, I didn't even know that was a truck until he got it. But I like a lot of the BMWs there are. A lot of the older ones, like 90s and 80s. I think those are pretty cool.
Awesome. Okay, let's talk a little bit about Edna and how she got to where she is now. You said you got it, fixed it up. How long a process was that? What kind of shape was the truck in when you got it in comparison to where it is now? And I also understand it's pretty much your daily driver too.
Oh yeah, yeah. Funny enough, being a daily driver, Mary, who's my girlfriend for the last several years, her car broke down, and so I let her drive my BMW all last year, and I just daily drove Edna the whole time. And but when we first bought Edna, Edna was drivable, but she wasn't driver every day drivable. I bought her down in Loganville, Georgia, and I actually had her towed back up here. I got home, and I was so excited to drive her, and immediately broke down the street at the bottom of two hills, and the battery was dead. So then it sat there for a couple of hours, and I was all frustrated. And when I first got Edna, she had the older 6-volt system on her, and so it's not like you can just charge a battery in a few minutes. Like, I had to put the battery on the charger for hours, and I had to take it out of the truck and carry it home on foot. And then I went back and got her later, and immediately started ordering stuff to convert her to 12 volts to make her a little more modern. And then there was no interior in Edna at all when we got her, just the bench, so it was really loud and nerve-wracking on the inside. So we worked to seal up the cab. We placed all the rubber seals and everything in there, and the interior and all that. And like I said, we were furloughed from BMW at the time, so we had 5 straight weeks. So I just kept ordering parts, and as they came in, Chance and I would put them on, and so she came a long way really fast. And within the first year, she's definitely become a different truck than originally. And but yeah, we immediately went to driving her and getting to take her out all the time. So like at first it was funny, it was just scary just to go anywhere, even driving from home to BMW to work was like a major ordeal. Like, I was scared the first time I went to work in it. And then we've just kind of done stuff as it's needed. A lot of the maintenance and everything, even though she's kind of a patina truck, everything underneath is really nice. As far as like, we've replaced a lot of stuff, rubber bushings, spring stuff, shocks, all that, just to kind of make everything more comfortable. We added heat because it was really, really cold in the winter because she is kind of drafty. So we've done all kinds of stuff to it, and very little modification. It's very, very, very original underneath. It still has the original engine, transmission, and rear end. So it's really slow. Like, just coming up here to the studio, the GPS, we gained 5 minutes getting here, as opposed to the normal trying to beat the GPS.
So what led you to decide that, I think you touched upon this a little bit ago, so now you've got this truck and you want to show it off. Obviously, it's gone to some of the local cars and coffees and maybe some shows, but obviously you've taken and decided to go a little bit beyond that as well.
Oh, yeah. So originally, when COVID first hit, there was no car shows. And so I was like, I got this new truck and can't even show it off. And then when things started opening up, we started hitting Cars and Coffee, because we've been going to Cars and Coffee since Chance was first born. Cars and Coffee in the upstate. We were at the original parking lot before they made it to Michelin, where they are now. And I remember John getting really excited when he first hit 200 cars for the first time, and that's really taken off. So Chance has been going that his whole life, and we've always had something cool to bring. I had an '87 BMW 535 IS that we used to go in, and then for Chance's first birthday, I took his radio flyer wagon and we slammed it all the way down to the ground, and I basically used that as my baby stroller, and we would take him up there for that. But we've kind of spread out now, where we kind of go to a lot of different shows, and we've kind of been enjoying going to some of these smaller shows in like more rural towns. Like, we went to the Clinton Cars and Coffee, and then they have in Blacksburg they have Iron City Cars and Coffee, and we've been to those a few times. Those are pretty good. And then we keep venturing out to more cooler and cooler places. I think the farthest we've gone is we drove down to Mars Bluff, South Carolina, where we accidentally dropped an atomic bomb on ourselves. And so we drove down to there and we checked out the crater, and that was pretty neat because the atomic bomb part wasn't like, it still exploded, but the atomic bomb, like the detonator wasn't attached or something. So there's this huge, like 70-foot across crater in the ground. So we went and stood down in that, and we went down to Buc-ee's, and then we had another trip. Up in North Carolina, there's a place called the Road to Nowhere, and it's a highway that never got finished. And we went up there, and that was really awesome. It rained like the whole drive up, which was kind of a big adventure in itself because at the time, Edna only had one wiper and it kept not working. And so we've since fixed that. So that was just kind of one of the many little things that we've had to do along the way.
Now, Chance, what are some of the things that you help with your dad with when it comes to either fixing up the truck or just kind of keeping that maintenance up?
I've worked on the engine before, and I've also helped out putting like everything on the interior inside, and all the rusty spots. We've both kept that like trying to get it shiny by wiping on this thing called shine juice, and we rub it on the truck where there's like the brown spots to keep that spot shiny to make it look like more of a patina look, which looks really cool.
What is your favorite thing to work on with the truck?
I really like working with the engine, I think. It can be a little bit troubling sometimes, because sometimes there's some hard things to do on it that'll take a long time, but eventually you'll figure it out.
You have way more patience than I ever would. That is awesome. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about some of Edna's travels and what Edna has met up with along the way. Stay with Carolina Rides. We're coming right back. Welcome back to Carolina Rides. I'm with Chris and Chance Coffman with Adventures with Edna. Edna, of course, the 1950 truck we've been talking about. Okay, we started to get into, when we left off, some of the trips that Edna has taken. What was that first trip that you're like, hey, this is what we want to do, take this out and basically have a kind of a video log of where Edna's been going?
So that was kind of the big road trip, was going to where we decided to go up the Saluda grade, which when you've only got 100 horsepower and she tops out 60-ish, it was kind of a big deal going down the highway, especially up a mountain, and it was good. It actually went up just fine because I got lucky enough that nobody ever really got in front of me. We've gone to like Chimney Rock a bunch of times, and I had a slow car get in front of me going up one of the big hills, and I lost all my momentum, and then the slow car started pulling away from us, and there was just kind of nothing we could do, and suddenly we're going like less than 20 up the hill. And but when we did the trip to North Carolina, we were since it was such a big deal, we were kind of filming everything and then just posting it to Facebook on my regular Facebook page, and we made it all the way up the Saluda grade, and then we kind of didn't really have a plan. We just kind of wanted to see how it was going to go, and I was a little nervous about coming back down the Saluda grade, so that's kind of why we ended up going towards Chimney Rock and Lake Lure. We ended up, we went to the entrance of Biltmore, and they have the gift shop there. We checked that out, and then we left there, and then we took like all the back roads. We came through Bat Cave and Chimney Rock, and we made some stops in there. We were live streaming a little bit of it, and then also kind of just recording it and posting it later, and then we just thought it was really cool. And then at the time, we were saying what a big adventure it was, and so we started out with shortly after that was kind of when the name Adventures with Edna was born, and we first started the channel, and then we kind of said what we were going to do, and kind of gave like a little intro, and so we started putting out a weekly video, and we were just kind of putting it out whenever, but then we started trying to get on a more even schedule, and it was getting too hard to get the videos out on Sunday, so we moved it to Monday. So we always have a new episode coming out every Monday at 4. And then we kind of throw in shorts and reels and stuff like that, like at other times. And we, kind of I kind of forgot where I was going with that.
Keep going.
But yeah, so we put out the usual schedule, and we're always kind of looking on stuff to do. Like we kind of always say like the adventures are out there everywhere. You just have to find them, and it's kind of true because there's a lot of people that are just out driving around, and you're like, hey, look at that old car back there. hey, look at that old building in the woods. And, but then, you never stop and you look at it. Well, we've started finding those things, and then we've actually make the time to go back and look at those. We were living near where we live now. We were passing by. I was driving the same road every day, going back and forth to work, and then all of a sudden one day I was just going down the road, and I was like, "Is that a gas pump in the woods?" So I started slowing down as I started going by it, and it was like you could tell, like deep in the woods, there was a building, and you could barely see the gas pump. So Chance and I decided to go check it out, and it was really cool. There was like this abandoned gas station in the woods, still had the original pump. I think there might have been like remnants of where another pump was next to it. And then the inside of the building was like an old service station. They had like belts and hoses hanging up, and there was old equipment. And out back, they had like machines for changing tires and stuff that was all like antique stuff. And then there was like a mid-40s truck back there that was just kind of rotting away on the ground. It was really, really cool. And that was just from something we saw off the side of the road. And so we checked it out. And then sometimes we've kind of gotten where, like on Facebook, we look at some of these abandoned pages, like there's abandoned Carolinas and stuff like that. And so we've seen stuff on there that have given us ideas, or we've found stuff on our own that we've posted up there, like abandoned churches and all kind of neat stuff like that. And then we also do the car scene, and then we also work on Edna in the videos because we got to keep her up and running to do these adventures. We kind of jokingly, Edna was down at one point. I forgot what for now, and I actually had to use my BMW, which is Venom, and so we kind of took our logo and I made it look like we spray painted out Edna and then spray painted in Venom, and kind of used that logo occasionally when we got to use the other car. It's like cars helping cars. But originally I bought the truck with no intentions of doing YouTube or anything like that. Like I do woodworking in my spare time, and I kind of wanted a truck because I was limited in what I could fit in the BMW. And I found out that I can fit 8 2x4s through what they call the ski bag hole. So you put them in through the trunk, and they come clear up to the shifter, which when you drive a 6-speed is not ideal. So because you're kind of up and trying to shift like this over the boards. So I was like, I needed a truck, and I really wanted something that I could haul stuff, but I also wanted it to be cool. And so since I was like the vintage truck, and I always kind of had an interest with the flathead V8, which is what the engine Edna has. And so I was kind of wanting something with it. So, I was out looking at these, and then I found, Edna. So
Now tell me a little bit about finding Edna, because it strikes me that you've got this truck that's got that patina, but you're also talking about seeing old abandoned pumps and something like that. And this is the type of truck that a lot of people might actually see abandoned in a field or behind a barn or something like that.
Well, Edna herself was kind of abandoned. As a matter of fact, the store, I didn't get it from the guy who originally had it. I got it from kind of a middleman in between. And the story I got basically was that Edna was on the side of the road for 20 years. And you can actually still go, if you know the address, you can actually still look up the address and see Edna parked on the side of the road in front of this guy's house. And she sat there for 20 years. And then a guy bought her, and then he didn't keep her but like maybe 6 months or something, and then he sold him to the guy I got him from. And what was really funny was I found Edna on Facebook Marketplace, and back when I got Edna, you could still comment on the ads, and everybody was making fun of the guy because his name was Kenny Rogers. And so everybody thought it was a fake post because he had a good deal on it, and his name was Kenny Rogers, and everybody was like in the comments kind of trolling him, making fun of his name, even though it's like obviously there's going to be more than one Kenny Rogers in the world. So I ended up talking to him. I made a deal with him on the phone, and he sent me a whole bunch more pictures and videos and stuff like that. And so I contacted a friend of mine because I'd never tried to have a car towed before, and he hooked me up with the service I used. I actually don't remember what towing service it was, but that guy met me down there, and we got Edna loaded up, and then he towed her back to my house, and it's just we've had her ever since.
What has been your favorite trip so far with Edna?
What is your favorite trip?
I liked the Road of Nowhere a little bit. I also like going up to Chimney Rock a lot.
Oh yeah. We've been to Chimney Rock quite a few times in there. It's been kind of a shame that we went up there and did a video after the hurricane hit and checked all that out. It's really sad because we've been going there for years. We usually go several times a year up to Chimney Rock. We've stayed in the hotel many times, and Lake Lure and all that, and so that was kind of sad to see. But we've had a lot of trips like that. We felt really, really when we got back from doing Mars Bluff, where the atomic bomb was. That was like a major road trip for us. Like that was more mile. I think that was like right at 300 miles in one day. In a 75-year-old vehicle. Mm-hmm. And the only real disadvantage to it was all driving on 26, and so it's just a matter of being the slow car for several hours. And it's kind of loud when you're on it. Like, we try to take back roads everywhere we go, because you can always find cool stuff on the back roads. Mm-hmm. A lot of kids, especially these days, anywhere they go, they're on their phone, they're on their tablet. Cars come with TVs in them now. They're watching movies. But, I've kind of taught Chance to be like the navigator. So he's looking for cool stuff while we're driving places. And he usually finds good stuff. He used to take pictures along the way and stuff. We'd see different things. And then, like I said, sometimes we stop and check them out. And we've had stuff that have been kind of, what are we doing? Like the video you've got up right now. I was just driving along and saw that car. So I just pulled my phone out and started filming. And then there was another time I was out going somewhere. I think I was coming back from Home Depot. I had a bunch of wood in the back of the truck, and I started passing all these Model Ts. So I started following them, driving them, and I recorded some of them, got a whole bunch of them, and like it really went crazy on YouTube. It got a lot of views, and that was really kind of neat seeing so many Model Ts in one place.
Yeah, I like the mention concerning about the fact that a lot of people just kind of used to that interstate travel. In fact, something that a lot of kids can relate to would be the movie Cars and Radiator Springs. And a lot of it was that this community had been abandoned because the highway had bypassed the town. And there were a lot of little things in that community. So yeah, it just kind of all draws that together. You had talked about some of those opportunities that you were looking at to, like the types of places you would like to take Edna, the abandoned Carolinas sort of thing. If there was one like dream location, it's like, hey, if we can pull this off, this would be great. Where would you like to go?
Area 51.
That would be a long trip. That's a trip.
I would want to go to this thing that my dad's been wanting to go to for a few years in like July, where there's this huge car show. Where's it at? I remember there's this YouTuber. His name is Vice Grip Garage, and he goes there like almost every year. Oh,
you're talking about Power Tour.
Yeah.
The one we wanted to do Power Tour one year, and we were going to do two legs of it. One was, they started out I think near Atlanta, and then they went to Columbia, and we really wanted to do those two legs, and I can't remember what happened at the time, but we ended up not being able to do it. And then the last couple of years since then, they've been too far to even get to the starting point. So. But we want to venture out further. There's a lot of stuff like in the area that's going on. There's all kind of things that, like even just here in Spartanburg, there's a lot of things going on. We know a lot of the car community because I used to work for Carolina Driveline here in Spartanburg, and so I got to meet a lot of these different hot rod shops. And there's all kind of interesting car history in this area. There's been movie cars built around here. There's Creative Customs in the area. Randy Willingham was actually one of the main guys that was part of Days of Thunder. He did a lot of the car paint and everything, and he's got some really, really great stories, and his son Dylan and I are friends. And then there's all kinds of other places in the area, like Mason Hot Rods. There's lots of different places you can check out and talk to. So we kind of get to talk to a lot of these guys and get their stories and stuff like that. We did a shop tour at Petty's Garage, and he's got like this really great vintage-looking shop where he works on a lot of old cars doing electrical. And he recently built a Sinclair gas station replica, and he's got all these Sinclair antiques. That's really cool. So we've checked that out a few times, and then we've kind of got to learn a lot of stuff, a lot of the history and things in the area of different things. There's all kind of stuff that we want to do that's kind of like down the pipeline, and so we do what we can, like as we can afford stuff, that sort of thing. We kind of want to do like maybe like a camping trip, so I've kind of got ideas to make something like in the bed of Edna to kind of be like that we could stay in overnight, be tight quarters, but but at least Chance is still small, so we got to do it before it gets too big.
Yeah, got to get that in quickly. For those who would like to keep up with Edna's adventures, let us know where you can find that. I've got an idea, but we can pop those up right now on the screen.
So yeah, so we check out all these different areas. We have like a whole page of like we have a couple of playlists. Some of them are just Cars and Coffee, the Upstate. We have a whole abandoned page of just stuff that we've checked out that was abandoned in the area because a lot of people like to check those out. So we've seen some abandoned cemeteries and things like that. We have a whole transmission page because we've been through a slew of transmissions in Edna. Technically, we've had 4 of them at this point. And they're all original style transmissions. They're all the correct transmission that goes in Edna. The original one like tore up, and so we made a trip to Kentucky and bought another one that I rebuilt. I got another one that was supposedly rebuilt that turned out wasn't rebuilt, and now the one that's currently in there is one that's sat for 40 years, and it's been in there the longest, which is kind of weird. And so we, just because we had all those go through, we have a transmission playlist, and we have another one we're going to do soon because the transmission that's currently in there leaks a lot, but it works great. So that's going to be coming up in the future.
Yeah, I was just showing, for everybody who's interested, you've got Adventures with Edna on YouTube, and you're also on Instagram, and you've also got a Facebook page as well.
Right.
Okay, well, that's about all the time we've got, actually. That went abnormally fast. Safe travels with Edna going forward, and be sure to put up more cool videos, cool pictures from where you go, and I think we all look forward to seeing where Edna's headed next. Chris and Chance, thanks for joining me today.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
And again, safe travels with Edna, and safe travels with all of you as well. Thanks for joining us here on Carolina Rides. Until next time, drive safely.